I'm Sylvia Plester-Silk, and 10 Minutes to Joy is your weekly invitation to reset, recharge, and rediscover your most joyful self through aha moments and simple energy techniques. Today, we're talking about mind versus emotion or feelings, and ego versus higher self decisions. When I'm working with clients, it's very frequent that they struggle with staying in their mind. So getting caught in their thoughts, but not coming deeper into the layer of emotion. Many talk therapies are really focusing on rebuilding the cognitive belief system. And I truly believe when we stay in the mind and work on just our thoughts and shifting just our thoughts, we do a disservice to ourselves. Because in doing so, we are ignoring key information about what we're experiencing. Our feelings, to me, are simply a message to our body that we are alive and we are experiencing something. So when we stay completely in our mind and our head, and I'll ask clients how they're feeling, and they will say to me, I think I'm feeling XYZ, and they might insert an emotion. What I notice from an energetic lens when this happens is they're detached from themselves at some level. It's so easy for us to get caught in the mind and thinking things through and trying to combat all the negative thoughts that we typically have in a day. It can be exhausting. And in my personal experience in my own healing, as well as working with thousands of clients over the years, is that when we go into the deeper level and we acknowledge what's emotionally present, and that person starts to connect with their emotions on a day-to-day basis and learns their language of their emotions, that to me is where some real change can happen. So often in childhood, we're taught to ignore our emotions. Many of us are taught we're too sensitive, that we need to somehow be less emotional. Yet the emotion is part of what makes us human. I'm not saying that dogs and other mammals don't have emotion. I'm saying that our ability to be with our emotion, to be at that deeper level of self-love and acknowledgement where I know what I'm feeling in the moment. And I'll refer you back to a very earlier episode called Feel Those Feels to help you get in touch with how to feel your feelings, because so many of us don't have feeling literacy. And I tell my story about when I didn't have literacy and how I overcame it and how you can too. So part of us gets stuck in the mind and we try and think it through. And that's when we create a lot of really powerful and often not very accurate stories about something that happened. So it may be a story about a friend who didn't go out with you or didn't want to spend time with you or wasn't available. And all of a sudden in your mind's concocting this brilliant story about how they don't like you anymore and how here we go. It's just like when you were with so-and-so in grade 2 and nobody likes me and I get rejected all the time. Ugh. And then there's emotion. Instead of just tuning into that emotion, which is likely maybe hurt or disappointed, and allowing yourself to honor and feel that emotion. And then you don't need to go into these wicked stories that we tell ourselves. So that's part of the equation, is getting into the deeper part of our mind. And when we're talking about insights and we're talking about decision making, then we switch into the difference between our ego and our higher self, and some people call it highest self. Our ego is linked to our mind body, and it is about, I want to have power. I want to make sure that I stay safe at all costs. And I'm going to have a whole bunch of coping strategies that may or may not assist me in making really healthy decisions. And when you couple ego and mind focus versus getting in touch with your emotions and having more of an intuitive focus, what can happen is the messages you're receiving from your body emotionally are getting missed. And so you're making a decision based on logic, but your body's part of your body and your subconscious is screaming at you, no, no, don't make that decision. And we've all made bad decisions. I know I certainly have. So, if ego and mind aren't where we want to be, then where exactly do we glean? And what is this higher self or highest self? It's the connection to our soul selves, which is like our embodiment of the light, if you will. And it is that part of us that has a pure conduit to our all knowing self, not mind knowing self, but our all knowing self, called intuition. It's called, sometimes we call it getting messages from guides. It's when we learn how to be quiet and contemplative within ourselves, when we get so in touch with our body and our emotions, and we allow ourselves to come to a calm, grounded space, that we can tune in to this place within ourselves, which many people call mother's intuition. It's not just for women or mothers. And you can tune in and go, my sense is this is the right decision. This feels right in my body, or this doesn't feel right in my body. So for a lot of us, right feels light. It's right as in correct. Decision for us feels light and easy. And the ones that may not be the right decision, or whether we have a lot of angst or fears around, may feel really heavy. So it's processing the emotion related to that decision, getting out of the ego who's like, oh, I want that so bad. This is going to be great. And who will, like the mind, make up stories to support what it wants that may or may not be really healthy for you. It's often our ego that goes, oh, I'm too tired. Oh, I've had a rough week. I'm not going to exercise, etc. So a few hints at shifting out of ego. Ego is about wanting something for a status of sorts. So if I get that this particular car or this ring or this type of clothing, this designer brand, then I'll be X. You fill in the blank. We are very focused on external in our culture. We're not in the moment. I mean, as I'm recording this, it's July, and they're starting to put out stuff for Halloween. We are so rushed. So it's about taking that time to slow down, to just breathe deeply, to ask our gut. And I am meaning tune into this part of your tummy. What does it feel like in my tummy when I think about option A? What does it feel like in my tummy when I think about option B? Or when I think about saying yes to this or no to that? And start to just tune in and see what happens with your decision making. I'm not saying that you don't want to consider factors in your mind. And I'm saying that sometimes when we make a mind only based decision, it's not the right decision for us on all the external factors. And it may tick all the boxes and be perfect in that way. And it may be absolutely not the perfect decision for you in the moment. So I'd like to call you to contemplate getting in touch with your emotions. What are the emotions? What are the names of them? How do you find quiet space within yourself, whether it's listening to different types of meditation, music, being in nature, etc., so that when you need to make a decision, and start with the small ones and work up to the big ones, that you can tune into that place within yourself that is connected to your higher self or highest self, so that you can make even better, more powerful decisions in your life. What I'm going to ask you to do this week is to share with one person how you get into your quiet space, or ask 3 people, what did they do to get into that quiet space within themselves where intuition is more likely to flow and the connection to higher self is more likely to be heard? Because we are connected. It's just our mind and our ego often cause us to feel like we're disconnected. Share my podcast and excuse me, and contemplate these decisions. Intuition is communicating with your deepest self, tuning into sensations, feelings, and subtle knowing. You can learn to heal your soul's or highest self most profound guidance. Until next week, be guided in your decision making.